TJ Feeney, I'm genuinely interested in your opinion on whether the World Wrestling Entertainment, WWE, could be considered cult-like. Yes, really. If you look into it, there are a number of issues which I believe show they fit this mold. One, their wrestlers are classed as independent contractors as opposed to staff. This way, they avoid proper pay scales, health insurance, and a host of other rights. This reminds me of the Sea Org being classed as religious staff. 2. Loaded language. There are numerous written directions leaked online where staff have been told that they are subject to punishment if they use certain words. For example, the championship belt is called a title, not a belt. The fans are called the WWE Universe and not the fans. People who break this enforced language rule will be held accountable. 3. Wrestlers are not allowed to have a third-party app presence which makes money, such as Twitch and Cameo. They are being told by the company that the company owns the rights to the wrestlers' real names, even though they're independent contractors. This, despite being contractually forbidden to wrestle anywhere else. 4. Staff are paid a tiny portion of revenue, as in well below all other sporting organizations. The bulk of the income goes directly into the pocket of Vince McMahon and his family, just like Hubbard. 5. Many die young due to the extreme toll this life takes on their bodies. They're constantly traveling to shows, all at their own expense, and are often only home for a day or two per week. Despite all this, they are frequently told they should be grateful for the opportunity. 6. Disconnection. If you leave the company and speak negatively of them, Vince McMahon will not allow current wrestlers to speak of the people gone. They will essentially erase them from company history too, by omitting them from video packages or refusing to acknowledge their participation in historical moments. There are many more examples, but I was curious about your thoughts. Okay, TJ, thank you for this question. And this highlights a real difficulty in being able to suss out or assess different groups and their, where they might lie on, let's say, a cultish spectrum or a spectrum of influence or authority or control. So it's rough because, as I've said before in the past, like with the military, you can find groups that are involved in behavior that could be questionable, objectionable under certain contexts, and yet necessary for the kind of work that's being done, like in the military, let's say, where you got to break people down and get them into a compliance mode of thinking because you need them to follow orders. That is the way the military is structured. And, if we want to change that, we can, but that's just how the military is. And given the circumstances that the military gets involved in and the amount of training necessary and the work and the danger and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, there are, very many good arguments to be made for why something like boot camp is actually necessary and important and not just something optional or abusive that we do just because we don't have anything better to do with new recruits, So, context really matters in all of this. Now, you presented a number of points as to how the WWE fits against a cult model, especially the one that I have been utilizing most, which was put together by Janja Lalich and Michael Angione. And of course, we also have Lifton with the loaded language, and you have instances or examples here in your question of efforts at milieu control, at, of course, that the language, at, what we don't have here in this is a sacred science or a mystical manipulation. We don't have a whole lot of that going on here. The WWE is a company, and it has a product. And it is a money-making operation, and it's not pretending to be anything else but that. And that's actually where we get to a point of crucial importance when we're evaluating these mechanisms of control in a group, whether it's a cult or not. And this has to do with deceit, disinformation, propaganda, indoctrination. It has to do with informed consent. Going into the Church of Scientology, any day of the week, anywhere in the world, they are going to lie to you about who they are, what they do, what they're about, how much it's going to cost you to do it, what their actual beliefs are, whether disconnection is real or not, what their ethics system consists of, how their justice system works. All of these things are things that they will not give you a straight answer on. By design, they know they can't. They can't tell you the truth about any of those things, because if they do, you're going to turn right around and walk out the door, because you're going to see that this is a controlling authoritarian group that doesn't have your best interests at heart. This is an important point as far as I'm concerned in determining whether a group is cultish or not, is this point of deception. The WWE, as far as I know, and I have a very limited understanding of this. I have the information from your question that you're presenting to me, and I have the knowledge I have from, documentaries and over the years, things I've seen with the wrestling world. This is not a world I'm interested in being part of, and I wouldn't particularly endorse it for anybody else, because the points you make are good points as far as how it is rather authoritarian. And McMahon has chosen to run this organization this way, and he, of course, profits from it, and he sort of holds the keys to the kingdom, and he's the gatekeeper. So if you want to be in that world, you have to play by his rules. Is that right? Probably not. Is it morally fair? No. Is there an even playing field? No. Are there contractual stipulations that really shouldn't, from a point of view of fairness and workload and opportunity, should those things be there? No. But here's the thing. All of it going in, or you can be told. Now, if there is a curtain or layer here of deception, you didn't particularly address it in your question. You didn't bring that up in your question. And I've not seen outside other evidence that there is some deceptive practice going on here. In the same way that, you might have certain individuals in these groups who start spouting off with lies and exaggerations and hyperbole and selling people on it. That can happen. But is it dogmatic to do that? Does Vince McMahon demand that everybody connected with WWE lie when they're bringing new meat on board, right? New people, into the stable. Are they lying to them? Well, I can't tell from the information you're giving me, and as far as I know, they don't. So if you're going into a situation with fully informed consent, like, okay, let me give you another example that might help demonstrate my point, is monks. If you're going to go be a monk, like a Catholic monk, you're going to actually go do that. You want to live a life of solitude and servitude and asceticism, and I think I'm pronouncing that right. I'm always getting words wrong, but you want to live this life of this meager, humble monk. Well, they're not going to just let you in. You gotta actually prove to them that this is something you want to do and that you are fully dedicated to it. With the Amish, you have I know I'm going to mispronounce this one. The Ramspring, the thing they do where when you get to 17 or 18 years old, they kick you out for a year. It's like go live in the world, go see what it's like. And if you want to live this Amish lifestyle, then come back to us. And of course, these kids are a little ill-prepared for that. But the point I'm making is that it is what the situation is. You're given the opportunity to go away from it, or you've always got the opportunity to walk away from it. Nobody's forcing you to be there. And if you come back into the Amish community, then they rightfully assume you understand this lifestyle, you understand our rules, you understand this is a tough life. We are not about creature comforts, and you're down. This is the life you want to have. And if that's the case, then you're not in a cult, because a cult exerts coercive control over its members, which means isolation, intimidation, and control. And not a little bit. And there is deception, right? You are always wrangled into these groups through lies. by being told it's one thing when in fact it's something else. Now, being given a song and dance about opportunity is one thing. Being lied to straight up is another. And I'm sure you can find examples of this, both done well and done badly, in the world of the WWE. We can always find anecdotes of some individual or a group of individuals over a time period who have been deceived, who have been abused, who have had bad things happen to them that they didn't want and didn't sign on for. That can happen anywhere, at any time, in any group. And it doesn't necessarily mean that the group is a cult. So, specialized language is part of any group. Every single group has individual words. It's not the fact that they have their own language. Is the language loaded? Are there twists of meaning there that are actually screwing with you psychologically? There's a little bit more to it than just having a specialized language. It's manipulative. The language itself can become part of the manipulation package of the cult, you see. So, we have to talk about these things in sort of broad terms, because context is where the details sort of emerge, and where judgment can then take place. And we have to get very, very specific about the details of these groups before we start calling them destructive cults. Any of these groups are cults. They have a culture to them. The WWE definitely has its own culture. And it is a cult by definition if you look it up in a dictionary. But of course, I'm answering you from the position of, is it a destructive cult? And I do not believe that it is, in the same way I don't believe the military is, and I don't believe any corporation is. I don't believe Hollywood is as a group. And you could easily describe Hollywood in all of these terms. I could make this exact same argument for movie stars in Hollywood and whether they're part of some destructive cult because of the abuses and the financial shenanigans and the advantage that is taken and the lies that are told and all of that. Same, right? But is it a destructive cult? No, it's really not. But it is a culture, and that culture has ups and downs, good points and bad points. There are tremendous individual rewards that can be gotten as a WWE member. You can rise on up and you can rise right out of that world and move on to a better world. I mean, look at the success of The Rock, for example. It's rare. It doesn't happen all the time. There's a lot of luck connected with it, in the same way that Hollywood is all about luck, not talent. Yeah, you got to bring the talent, but it's not talent alone that's going to get you on the screen. There are tons and tons of very talented people who are never going to make it because they don't hit that lucky break. Same in the WWE. You can dedicate your life to it, and the truth of the matter is, in a world like that, you better love the work, because it's often thankless work, and you might not actually get anything for it except the satisfaction of what you're doing and that you enjoy doing it. Kind of similar to being a YouTube creator as far as that goes, So anyway, I think I'm getting to a point here, and that point is that you have groups that can look like a cult, but you gotta dig into the details and suss out intent and deception and look at things from, as why and how and why are these tools of control being utilized? And are they being utilized in a way that is actually unusual, different from what we see in the normal course of our society? Are we talking about something actually much worse on the scale, or are we talking about something that might just be pushing a few boundaries in an uncomfortable and even sometimes abusive way? Okay, this is no effort to give anybody a pass for bad behavior. But judging a group is a different thing from judging individuals in that group over time. And that's, I think, part of the distinction of this. So that's kind of my initial take on that. If there's more information you want to give about it, or, enlighten me further about that or something, I'm wide open to hearing anything more that you have to say about it. But that's kind of where I come down on it. And let me know what you think.